Charlie Kirk Show starts now.
We have a meeting with President Putin tomorrow. I think it's going to be a good meeting, but the more important meeting will be the second meeting that we're having. We're going to have a meeting with President Putin, President Zelensky, myself, and I think President Putin will make peace. I think President Zelensky will make peace. We'll see if they can get along.
And my worry is that, well, the photo op in and of itself essentially legitimizes war crimes, telegraphs to other autocrats or evil men around the world that they can get away with murdering civilians and still get a photo op with the President of the United States. It could get worse because if there is no agreement, if Putin thumbs his nose at Trump, and then Trump does not follow through with more weapons for Ukraine or with any sanctions, then it's essentially the final green light to Putin. So this is a big moment for Putin because he essentially is being legitimized in the eyes of the United States and in the eyes of the world. We know there's not going to be any major peace deal here, largely because one of the parties to the war isn't at the table. You can't sign a peace agreement if Zelensky isn't there.
Well, the first concern is that Putin's already achieved a victory. He's having a meeting with the President of the United States of America. He's an indicted war criminal. Getting a second meeting with President Zelensky, that is the goal. And I wish him success. Well, I want this war to end. It cannot end without Zelensky in the room. It cannot end without Ukrainians negotiating. And therefore, getting to that second meeting, I think, is the key outcome that we are all looking for.
It is important also, David Ignatius, to say that the Biden administration, even going back 2-3 years, understood, and we heard it from General Milley and others, understood that the Ukrainians weren't going to get every Russian out of their territory, and the Russians weren't going to get to Kyiv. So there's always been an understanding that there would, at some point, be a land swap.
The goal for me, and I think President Trump, is to end it forever. Now, what would that look like? You'll have some land swaps, but only after you have security guarantees to Ukraine to prevent Russia from doing this again. You need to tell Putin what happens if he does it a third time. Pre-invasion sanctions that would crush his economy if he ever did this again.
I think the first thing I'd say is that I applaud President Trump's efforts to end this war. As he says, this war is a bloodbath. Far too many people have died, and if the United States, through its power and influence, can bring an end, that's a good thing, no question about that. But the problem is that a peace that will endure between Russia and Ukraine has got to require Russian concessions, and so far, Putin has refused to make any. The swap that's important here is Ukraine might give up territory in exchange for real security and a guarantee that this war won't start again after these negotiations. And that's what I'm going to be looking for at Friday's meeting. Is there any sign that Trump has learned that a peace that's simply acceding to Putin's demands is not going to be a peace that lasts? If there is pressure on Russia, if Russia really gives up something, above all the desire to destroy Ukrainian independence, then we might have a real peace deal.
Well, let's begin with the fact that this summit meeting is a tremendous gift to Vladimir Putin. He's meeting one-on-one with the President of the United States. He has been charged with war crimes by an international body, and he's lucky not to be arrested. And you were right when you said earlier it's a legacy-making moment. If Donald Trump stands strong and insists on a ceasefire before there are any talks, insists that Vladimir Putin be at the table along with Europeans, and insists that a security guarantee be the result of any kind of negotiation, he has the makings of a potential agreement that could win him the Nobel Peace Prize, which he has long sought.